Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, here is Brendan Griffith.
Thank you. Okay. Hey, good evening, everybody. Glad that y'all are here tonight again for this wonderful ministry opportunity we have to learn more about God and His Word and His truth about our universe. So again, I want to encourage you and remind you that we'll be having this again tomorrow night, Wednesday night, at 6 p.m., and that'll be the finale of, again, this wonderful week with the Creation Truth Foundation and their ministry. So, guys, I'm going to pray, and then I'm going to turn it right over, and we'll get started tonight. Dear Lord, thank you for this day, this opportunity for us all to come together just to learn more about you, God. Not only for our heads so we can fill ourselves with head knowledge, but knowledge that we can use practically to tell people in our everyday life just how good of a God you are. I pray as we enter this time, we open our hearts up to you. You speak to us, and God, you allow us to learn just how mighty of a God you are. I pray these things in your name. Amen.
Good evening, everybody. Everybody well? Wow, there's like huge gap between the like these guys seem to keep moving forward. You guys are just back there. Okay, all right. That's fine. That's fine. Brian will like me better if I stay in between the edges of the pews. I can't guarantee that. Okay. It is a blessing again to be with you this evening. Tonight I brought my lovely wife with me, who's not in here. Okay, she's here somewhere. Anyways, brought my better half with me tonight, and it's always good when she's traveling with me. She just got home. My father-in-law had cancer surgery last week, and so she's been in Kansas, and so I've been batching it at home. Whew. You know, I'm on the road a lot. I do. I sleep all over the place, right? I mean, I sleep in hotels. I sleep in people's houses. I do not sleep well at home without her. Like, that's a weird thing. I've been thankful to be in my own bed, but without her in the bed beside, it's just a really weird thing. So I'm thankful she's home. I slept really good last night. Tonight, we are going to finish the first week of history. We have been studying through things, trying to affect your worldview. I want you to see everything through the lens of this book. So, whatever you've learned, whatever you've experienced in your life thus far about origin things, like we've heard and seen lots of things in our lives. Every time we put on Discovery Channel or National Geographic, something is being taught to us. And a lot of that is not taught through a biblical understanding. So it feeds our worldview. When I first met Dr. Sharp, the founder of our ministry, I did not understand. I'd been in ministry for about 7 or 8 years at the time when I met him, and I'd been in local church youth ministry, and as I mentioned Sunday, I really thought I had it all figured out pretty well. And I really would have, if somebody were to have asked me, do you trust the Word of God, I would have said, absolutely. But there were many areas in my worldview that the Bible wasn't touching, that I thought maybe it was. And I did not understand. I'd been evolutionized, and I didn't even know it. Like, it just happens. It's not an intentional thing on our parts, especially if you're like me and you grew up in the church. It was definitely not on my on my watch. For me, the idea of evolving from a primate, that idea of evolution. Who's heard that idea? That we're just a primate. We're going to deal with that tonight. Just a little bit. I have a whole presentation I do in one evening on that, just that topic. We're going to touch on it tonight. Because on day 6 tonight, we're going to find out when the Lord said He made us. And we're going to relook at the scripture to see if there's any indication that he made us like the primates. So we carry that. There's been lots of questions about the heads up here on the stage, the human-looking ones. We carry some of those. I will touch on them here in a minute because I want people asking questions. Because some of those that we carry, we've been taught is our ancestor. We're going to touch on them tonight. Tonight is very, very important. Not that the last two nights haven't been, it's just that tonight we hear about us. Like everything we've done the last two nights, the first 3 days of history, and then last night, the fourth day of history, all that was setting itself up. He's getting everything ready. He's getting creation ready for his masterpiece. You and me. So tonight, let's get after it. Last night, who enjoyed last night and getting to see, who was that for the first time to see the moon in a telescope? Anybody? Anybody was that the first time? Very cool. Was that all right? Okay. I vividly remember the first time I saw the moon in a telescope, and I was just like, what? Okay. How about Jupiter? First time for Jupiter for anybody last night? It was pretty good last night, I have to say. It was a little better than I anticipated it to be. And so maybe we can come back at some point and do a little more. Maybe I can come back in the daytime sometime and we do some solar stuff. Let you see the sun through a telescope with very special lenses. Special lenses, not just any telescope, special lenses. Don't use a telescope on the sun. So, or binoculars, either one. Oh, please don't. Okay? So tonight, please open with me to Genesis chapter 1. Genesis chapter 1. As we read the other day, on Sunday evening, we read that a little verse in Exodus, in the Ten Commandments, that said he created everything in how many days? 6. He said he made everything. Sea, the heavens, all the above. 6 days. So there are schools of thought, as I've shared already this week, there are schools of thought out there that these days weren't days. They were like, I don't know, thousands of years long, millions of years long. It depends on who you talk to, right? But every one of these days have this evening, morning, and a number attached to the word day, which kind of gives us the idea that it was a day, like that's what it says, okay? So tonight, we're going to begin in verse 20. We're on the 5th day of all of history, according to this chapter, according to the rest of Scripture. It says this, and God said, let the water teem with living creatures and let the birds fly above the earth across the expanse of the sky. So, he's going to make what? Two kinds of creatures? Water and winged, right? Water and winged. Did you know, though, that the evolutionary idea about everything in the animal kingdom, it's all related back to a common ancestor. So it's not necessarily that one kind changed totally and left or went extinct to become a different. It's more like it's often described like a tree. Darwin even wrote in his journal when he was on the HMS Beagle going around the world and discovering all kinds of cool things that he had never seen before. He even drew a little tree in his journal. It's been dubbed the tree of life, actually. He wasn't talking about the Bible one. So this tree of life that everything's branched off of a main trunk that started as an original organic material, single-cell organism, and then over time it's gathered information and mutations happen and natural selection happens, and boom, all of a sudden we have a fully formed tree that at the edge of the tree is all the different species of everything, all related. Please understand, when you start studying today the evolutionary worldview, they are never describing it any longer as a tree. They are describing it as a bush. It's a messy bush because it's not near as easily branched as it has been thought about for all these years. You know why? Because we have a better understanding of this thing called DNA than we had 30 years ago, 40 years ago. I mean, it used to look like this big tree that everything could connect to the main trunk in life and in the animal kingdom. Now it's this huge, weird, bush-looking thing that's being taught in colleges and universities, where nothing really connects. You can't really see defined connections. It's just all there. It's quite interesting to me. Tonight, I want you to see the details that the Lord gives to us here in these verses. One of the first details I want you to see on this day is this term living creatures. Did you see it there in your text? In verse 20? Do you see the term living creatures? The Hebrew here is nephesh life. Kaye nephesh, meaning blood-containing life. He, for the first time in history, on the fifth day, he makes a different kind of creature that's living. Now, plants from day 3, they are living, but here on day 5, he's going to make something different than plant life. It's going to be nephesh life. It's going to have the animation of life. It's going to be blood-containing. There's a distinction made here. Things made on days 5 and day 6, there's a distinction made. It's a very, very important distinction. As we continue to read, look at verse 21. So God created the great creatures of the sea and every living and moving thing with which the water teems, according to their what? Kinds. Now, have we heard that word already? Yes, we heard that over there on day 3, right? And that was when he was making certain kinds of plants. So he made apple kind, he made citrus kind, and he made grain kind, and he made corn kind, and he made whatever, right? Whatever those kinds are. Well, now he's going to make kinds of kaye nephesh creatures, blood-containing creatures, water ones and winged ones. So what did he make? It says great creatures of the sea. What does your translation use there? Whales. New King James or King James always translated that whales, which gives you a very, please understand, that's not an incorrect translation at all. It's just a very limited. It means more than whales. It wasn't like he just made whales and then he made some birds. Like it's not what the Hebrew language, it's really not the Hebrew's problem. It's really the English language. The English language is just insane. Like we have tons of words that can represent one Hebrew word. So our translators have to rely on the Lord to help them pick the right word, right? And it's not that any of them are bad, it's just like one may be better context than the other. In the translation I'm using, it says great sea creatures. Does anybody happen to have New American Standard with them? New American Standard translates that little phrase, sea monsters. Really? Might I suggest a sea monster that is on stage? The skull directly behind me in the center of the stage, almost 5-foot-long skull, is attached to a marine reptile that was close to 45 feet long, had 4 6-foot flippers. That means he lived in where, if he has flippers? Water. Being a reptile with flippers, does that mean he had to have stayed in the water all the time? Probably. Not necessarily. We have flippered reptiles today that come out of the water. What's the best example? Sea turtles. Absolutely. At least once a year they come out, right? Lay their eggs, go back in, right? Can you imagine a 45-foot marine reptile with flippers showing up on the beach? There's part of me that I'm thankful we don't have these guys like this anymore. Most likely. Do we know everything in the ocean, church? Now, I pretty much believe they are probably gone by now. But, man, See, here's one of the big reasons, because everybody asks me that. Matt, are you hedging on the side that we still have these guys? Most likely not, because it's a reptile. Reptiles, are they cold or warm-blooded? They are cold-blooded. Reptiles are cold, you're warm. We make our own, warm-blooded makes our own heat, cold-blooded depends on the environment. So a cold-blooded reptile really needs really warm water to actually function well. For that size animal to function well, you have to have really warm water. We don't have much of that anymore. By and large, our water is cooler than what we expect that size marine reptile to have had to have. Okay? So most likely they're gone. Okay? So he's making all of these creatures, from sea turtles to all these wonderful water creatures, fish. There's the big fish head right there behind him with the big teeth. That's a fish, a 12-foot-long fish out of Kansas. In the rock record in Kansas. He also began doing something. He did it on day 3 too. He's done it over and over again, but there's this scientific principle called irreducible complexity. What it means is this: you can't have something about an organism without having all the parts of it, or that thing doesn't exist. For instance, let me just give an example of something that was created on day 5. There's this beautiful little marine fish called a Bengal cardinal. Now, most Bengal cardinals in captivity, in a tank, home tank, whatever, they'll be about this big. They're a little fish. Now, in the wild, in the ocean, they'll grow a little bit bigger, okay? But see, to me, the evolutionary worldview of somehow things in the water decided and figured out how to best be a Bengal cardinal over time doesn't fit a Bengal cardinal. You either have all of the Bengal cardinal as a Bengal cardinal, or we don't have Bengal cardinals. Can I describe to you why this evening? Because mom lays the eggs. That's a pretty obvious thing, right? Then dad eats them. The Bengal cardinal was designed by the Lord that as soon as he eats them, there's a switch in his brain that kicks off all digestive system. No more eating. No more eating. Then he incubates the eggs inside of him. Now, in the evolutionary process, as a Bengal cardinal is trying to figure out how to be a Bengal cardinal, as soon as dad eats the eggs but hasn't developed the switch to flip off the digestive, we have no more Bengal cardinals, right? He then bursts them live out of his mouth. Approximately 30 days later, after he's eaten the eggs. As soon as he bursts them, the little switch in his brain goes, hey, time to eat, click. And he goes back to being a male Bengal cardinal that eats whatever Bengal cardinals eat. You got to have all that. What if he's developed a switch to shut off the digestive system, but then hasn't developed the other switch to switch it back on again? We lose Bengal cardinals, right? Their lifespan is just like. To be a Bengal cardinal, you've got to have all. You're irreducibly complex. The Lord designed you that way. Like, that is a very simple explanation of that. There are many more. Look back at the text right quick. So he makes all of these sea creatures. So think of everything that you've ever learned anything about that has ever lived in the water, the majority of their time. Their kind was made on day 5. Then look what it says. And every winged bird according to its kind. So birds. I grew up in a household that we had lots of birds. My mom was known in our neighborhood to be that lady that rescues everything. So all of my friends, if there was a downed egg, a downed baby out of a nest because of a windstorm, like, they would show up at our house. We would raise them. One summer, we raised 8 robins. 2 nests of 4 each. Eeny, meeny, miny, moe, hickory, dickory, dock, and mouse. That was what we named the 8 robins we hand raised. We would always release them back into the wild. We always could see ours in the backyard. They were the only ones eating bread and worms. Ours would eat bread with the sparrows that we would put out. So we knew that was one of our 8 that we had. It was kind of fun. These beautiful bald eagles. I mean, he made eagles on day 5. He made these. Here, let's see if this works. I don't know how many of you are nerds like myself. Okay, this is a live image of Big Bear Lake, California. This is Sunny and Gizmo. These are 2 eaglets that just hatched about a month ago. I've been following their parents, which neither one of them are in the picture. That's really crazy. I think that's the first time I've seen them without mom or dad sitting next to them. It's a pair of eagles, Shadow and Jackie. This webcam has been on them for, I don't know how many years, 5, 6 years. This is the first year they've had 2 babies. 2 babies. I see them and I go, thank you, Lord, for day 5. Got 2 beautiful little eaglets here. He made the wonderful designed puffin. Puffin. What a unique bird. But he also made other winged things. What winged things are on stage that we often never think about or compute into the day he made winged things? Like we don't, for whatever reason, I didn't put the pteranodons in there. I mean, because we've been so trained that all of them went extinct, so they're in another part of history somewhere. Like we've got Bible history and then we got this other history thing over here somewhere. That's how I tried to compute with it. Again, how much of everything that's existed on the planet did he make in these 6 days? Everything. Have they existed? Absolutely. We have their fossils. We'll talk more about them tomorrow night. These are flying reptiles. They had wings. This one down here, that's like a 24-foot wingspan. Whew. They have been found with 42-foot wingspans. 42 feet. His head, this head right here, is 8 feet from his nose back to the back of his crest. 8 feet. Their kind was created on day what? 5, with all other winged stuff. Everything we can tell, they're reptilian. They're not birds. They didn't have feathers. We've never found one with feathers. I don't care what you've seen in a movie. Never, listen to me, never found one of those with anything like a feather. We have found them with skin that is scaly and membrane-like. So those of you that are thinking, well, fossils are always just the bones of stuff, that is not true. Do not miss tomorrow night. So day 5, water stuff, winged stuff. Are we ready for my favorite day? Day 4, like I said last night, that's right up there. That's a close second. But day 6 is my favorite day, okay? By far my favorite day. Look here at the text. Verses 24 and following. Check this out. And God said, let the land produce living creatures, there's our kain, nefesh words again, according to their kinds. Livestock, creatures that move along the ground, and wild animals, each according to its kind. So what kinds of animals does he start with on day 6? Everything land. Everything land. Warm-blooded ones and cold-blooded ones. Both. So he created the snakes. He created all of the deer kind. This was a wonderful first time in Yellowstone. This was the image, the first moment my family went into Yellowstone. Even before we were stopped by a bison, which usually that doesn't take long if you've been to Yellowstone. This beautiful elk in the field that day. He made the cat kind. Right? Whether you like cats or not, he made the cat kind. By their kind. The thought from kinds in the Bible, the reasonable idea is there was probably a bigger cat kind and a smaller cat kind. Maybe. We really don't know where that dividing line of kinds was, but felines, all cats are cats. Mrs. Cheetah here at the Oklahoma City Zoo that I have a picture of could have a baby with your male cat at home. Could. I didn't say will. Why? What will Mrs. Cheetah do to Fluffy at home? We'll eat him. So, but biologically speaking, it's possible, okay? They're cats. They're cats. Did you know dogs are dogs? Actually, wolves are all wolves. They're dogs. And that is a picture of the new dire wolf. Everybody's been freaking out all day today. That hit the news. The dire wolf, that is the pup. That's one of the two that I've seen pictures of. That is the first dire wolf. It's being publicized as the first dire wolf in 13,000 years. I disagree on the time. We really don't know exactly when they went extinct after the flood. Sometime after the flood. So within the last 4,300 years is fine with me, okay? But again, everybody's freaking out because we have a dire wolf. They're like, isn't this awesome? We have a dire. It's a gray wolf. That's lighter. We've messed with the genetics a little to make it lighter color. Read the article. 95% of the DNA of the dire wolf is a gray wolf. Guess what that is predominantly? A gray wolf. Because a wolf is a wolf. You have speciations within wolves. That's all it is. Some are a little bigger, some are small. It's just a wolf. It's a fancy dog. That's what that is. A little wilder than yes, whatever you have at home, okay? He is cute, though, isn't he? Yeah, he's so cute. If you haven't heard about this till right now, on your way home, Google dire wolf on YouTube. They've got the two pups holding them, and they're howling. It is the cutest. Wow, they're really cute. Check that out later, okay? He made primates. On day 6, when he's making the rest of the animal kingdom, he's making primates, all within their kind. He also did some other things that we observe in science, things like this. Not only irreducible complexity, like I've already shared, he made things that have symbiotic relationships. Does anybody remember what this means? Symbiotic relationship. What does that mean? Something relies on something else, like they have a relationship for their existence. Okay? So let me show you an example. This is a Nile crocodile on the screen. Can you see the crocodile? Okay, yeah, that shows up okay. And there's something inside of his mouth. And on his mouth and around him, they're birds. Birds were created on what day? 5. Crocodiles most likely created on what day? 6. I lean on 6. There's people that argue with me about that because they spend a lot of time in the water, but their legs and everything about them is really built for land. Okay? So I put them on day 6. Do we need to argue about I don't really care. Okay? Look what the Nile crocodile allows the Egyptian plover to do. The Egyptian plover has the unique design and ability with and connection, symbiotic relationship with the Nile crocodile to be allowed to pick the wildebeest out, floss his teeth, brush his teeth, if you will, so the alligator gets to keep his teeth longer. This little relationship helps the Egyptian plover live because he gets to eat. I mean, like I had always been taught that, listen, alligators, crocodiles, reptiles, stuff like that, if they've got their mouth open, like never touch their tongue. If you touch their tongue, whack, you're done. You're done. Is that always true? Not if you have a symbiotic relationship that God designed that way, with potentially 2 creatures made on different days even, made for each other. Absolutely love the Lord's design in things. Like, guys, it's unmistakable. I mean, I'm giving you like a very small example. There are lots. He made all of these creatures. He made these large bison that are behind me on the stage here. We have this skull. That is not a Texas Longhorn. That is a Texas bison. Actually, we do. We find a lot of those in Texas. Bison latifrons. His shoulder would have rubbed a basketball goal. So that's a Today bison over there on the right side of the screen. Those are a little bit bigger. But made on day 6. Now I want you to go back to your text here for a second. Did you catch the word livestock when I read it? What's yours say? Give me your word for livestock in there. Cattle. So cattle's even more narrow than livestock, right? The word is behema. Say it with me. Behema. That's the Hebrew word, behema. Now this behema word, it can include cattle, very much so. Can include a broader thing like livestock, things domesticated. It is used that way for domesticated things later on in the Old Testament. So we've got your sheep and your pigs and your cows and your whatever, right? Domesticated stuff. But that word, focus, that word it does not just mean cows. It does not just mean sheep and pigs. It is used elsewhere in the Old Testament for dinosaurs. Dinosaurs. Again, tomorrow night I will cover that. But right here, between that word and wild animals, we have the inclusion in the text of upright walking reptiles that we call dinosaurs. Scripture never calls them dinosaurs. Do you know why? Do you know when we got the English word dinosaur? It wasn't until 1841. 1841 is when we got the word dinosaur from 2 Greek words, dinos and saurus, from terrible lizard. That's what dinosaur means, terrible lizard. Please, listen, dinosaurs. This is a dinosaur. The flying one is not a dinosaur. That is a flying reptile. Grandparents, focus. You'll have something on your grandkids, I'll guarantee you. Focus. Us kids, we grow up and we learn all this stuff is dinosauria. It's all dinosaurs. We lump them all together. Technically speaking, the flying ones are just flying reptiles. They're not dinosaurs. It has to do with the hind legs. Do you see Gundy's hind leg over here? This is Gundy, our Triceratops. See the hind leg? It comes out of the hip and goes straight down. They walk kind of upright on their hind legs, kind of like we do. The T-Rexes are the same. Do you see stands? So that's his whole body, this guy right over here, that when it was on display here in the United States of America, now you have to go to the United Arab Emirates to see him. But that's this guy. So, you see his leg? They're right underneath of him. Reptiles today, focus, look at me. Reptiles today, their legs sprawl. They do this when they walk. Dinosaurs didn't do that. All indications from there, that's why we call them dinosaurs. They're classified separately. They're separate from the lizards today and the reptiles today. Okay? So is an alligator a dinosaur? Actually not. Actually not. Crocodiles are not either, because their legs are not like dinosaurs. Okay? But he made dinosaurs. He made these creatures. Tomorrow night I'll show you that the fossil record is not something that has been there from the beginning. See, I was taught by one fellow one time that, well, the Lord just put the fossils in the earth when he made the earth. Well, that's an interesting thought. I mean, he did make everything looking mature, right? So maybe that was a sign to this gentleman that's how he made it look really old, was he just put fossils in it. The problem is if you have fossils in the earth, you have death in the earth. If you're the Lord designing everything perfect and complete, is there going to be death, do you think? Do you think that makes any sense? Like, that doesn't make any sense to have death. And the other issue, if that's what he did, he put all this stuff in there, he did that so elaborately to fool us into thinking we're that old. Because it's not just, these bones are not just fossilized rocks now. They're not just rock. They're not all fossil. They're actually not even all fossilized. There's still original material in the middle of them. I'll show you tomorrow night. This idea that we've been taught that they're millions of years old and it's absolutely true and you can't argue with it is totally false. Don't miss tomorrow night. Dinosaurs. He also made hairy elephants on day 6. And according to the guys that just made the dire wolf, they're going to have one done in 2028. They're taking the genetics of an Asian elephant and they're messing with the DNA a little to get a hairy one. We're going to have a hairy Asian elephant. That's what we're going to have. And we're going to call it a mammoth because it's going to be 95% Asian elephant and the other 5% is hair. Okay. I have no idea what percentage. They didn't say that yet, but I'm just taking a guess. Since the dire wolf is 95% gray wolf, I'm assuming. Okay. We'll see what happens in the next few years. And I want you to read. Look back at the text for a second. And it was so. Look at verse 25. God made the wild animals according to their kinds, the livestock, behemoth, according to their kinds, and all the creatures that move along the ground according to their kinds. And God saw that it was good. Good means what again? Perfect and complete. What did he just finish? What did he just finish? By saying good right there, what did he just finish? He finished the entire animal kingdom. The animal kingdom was done. Done. He finished the water and the winged ones on day 5 and said they were good. And now he's finished everything else in the animal kingdom because that's the only thing left is stuff on the land. And he just pronounced them good. He finished them. He finished the primates. He finished the primates. And who hasn't been made yet? He finished the primates. Guess what we're not? I don't care. Look at me, students. I really don't care what your textbook says. I don't care what the Oklahoma City Zoo says. Don't care. I want you to care what this says. This is priority. Not somebody else's worldview. This is priority. So, verse 26 says this. Then God said, "Let us make man in our image, in our likeness. Let them rule over the fish of the sea and the birds of the air, over the livestock, over the behemoth," including dinosaurs, "over all the earth and over all the creatures that move along the ground." Verse 27, so God created man in his own image. In the image of God he created him, male and female he created them. Did it say anything in there that he created us after a chimpanzee? It didn't say that, did he? Like, who did he model us after? Him. Now listen. We have to live in the same environment as primates. So it would seem to me, if we have this all-knowing, all-powerful designer, he doesn't have to rethink everything for every creature. So every creature is going to have DNA. Like, that's a building block. That's a standard. That's a framework for everything. He just tweaks it a little for different things that he's creating. So it doesn't surprise me to find out that, listen, when we compare our DNA to that of, well, biochemically, to a banana, we're 50% like a banana. We're so many percent similar to a pig. Does that make us a pig? That does not make us a pig. What have you heard about primates, though? Our similarity with primates. Talk to me. What have you heard? Opposable thumbs are a big indicator, right? Because they got the same opposable thumbs. And they walk like we do. You know what is not right about that statement? They do not walk like we do. They have hands on their feet. They have opposable toes also. And their hip structure is totally different. Can I describe that to you? Because you might not have done this in class. Do I have that in here? Hang on, let me double check myself. Maybe I have that. I don't. Okay, so I'm going to have to describe it to you. Our hips, our pelvis, comes up and makes this cool little bowl shape like this. Everybody do this with me. This is audience participation, especially the front row. Focus. Our muscles go down and around to attach to our legs. They allow us to lift it up and hold just like this, unless you've been drinking. then you can't do that. And you definitely can't do this and look down at and then stand there and count. Okay, so we can do this. Guess what chimpanzees never videoed a chimpanzee going, Their leg structure and their pelvis is different. Their pelvis does not bowl, it's more flat. So when they get upright, the way their pelvis attaches to their back, they're always hunched a little. They never stand up like a grandpa. That's good. I don't know whose grandson that is, but be proud. All right, he's thinking about you. All right, so they don't stand upright, okay? They cannot do this. They can't like walk, okay? They're always, when they go up to their legs, focus, look at me, they walk like this. It's kind of like somebody that's just gotten off a horse like all day-ish, okay? They don't lift their legs like we do and walk upright. They have to they're swing them. Watch the videos. Google them on the way home. Test me. And most times, they're not just on their hind legs, they're on their knuckles. Most chimpanzees, and definitely gorillas, are on their knuckles. By the way, our wrist bones, quite a bit different than chimpanzees and gorillas. They actually have they have a designed ability in their wrist bones to lock them, so that when they're walking on them, they're not flexing them and breaking them and snapping them off, and they become very hard, as if they were designed to do that. Their fingers, put your finger out. So a chimpanzee or gorilla's finger, by and large, they're a little different than ours because the digits in between the knuckles are quite curved on monkeys and on other primates. Ours are pretty straight. That curve allows them to do what? Really, really well. Grab and hang on stuff. Their shoulder blade back here, and their doohickey right here. I just totally blanked the name. Collarbone, thank you, collarbone. Totally, they have them like we do, but they're attached different, so that they can do this for hours, and everything still works. Like the blood doesn't just like get cut off, and then you're like, oh golly, okay. Like they can rest like this for hours, hanging, because of the design the Lord made in their shoulder. Their shoulder has a similar design to ours because it has all the pieces and parts, but it's totally designed different to be able to do what He designed them to do. Different than us. The Lord created man very specifically different. He never describes, here in the text that I just read, He never describes us as being part of the primates. Yet when I go to zoos, and I go to a lot of zoos, I have got pictures from lots and lots of zoos of what a primate is, and there'll be a chart like this one. And on the chart, you'll see all these things. You'll see the upland gorillas, you'll see the prosimians, that's like the lemurs and whatnot. They're kind of fun. Okay, gotta move it. Okay, monkeys have tails, apes do not. There's the distinction between a monkey and an ape, okay? So all these guys don't have tails, right? So chimpanzees over here. And who's always in this classification? Us. We're always on this little branch. Now here's what I need you to understand. We've got this wonderful little branchy thing here, right? But we do not have connections found between all of these. That's a total guesswork. That's Omaha Zoo, and that's actually a really good zoo, actually. Oklahoma City. As soon as the zoo opened after COVID shut everything down, our family, we've been zoo members for a long, long time. We went to the zoo. Like, we were tired of not being able to go to the zoo. Finally, they opened the zoo up. Here's one of the new signs on the way to the chimpanzee exhibit. Humans and chimpanzees share 95 to 98% of the same DNA. Okay, the evil part of my mind wanted to kick the sign right through the exhibit. That's what I wanted to do. Because you know why? Total lie. I've got scientific papers that show that. I've got the papers from those that are evolutionists that show that sign's false. Are you hearing me, church? But it's not like Oklahoma City's the only place that you see or hear that. Listen, I don't have time to show everything. I've got textbook after textbook that shows a 90-some% the same as a chimpanzee. You go to the St. Louis Zoo at the gorilla habitat, it actually says great apes are our closest kin. We share 98.4%. Let's see did I zoom in on that? I didn't zoom in on that. Back up. 98.4% of our genes with gorillas. It was this sign that made me go, where's the study for that? Where's it? Like, I've read that before, but where's the study for that? And I started scouring the scientific journals. I found that study not for gorillas. I have never found one for gorillas. It's always chimpanzees from the 1970s. The 98% data connection DNA to chimpanzees is from a study in the 1970s. It's when I was born. That's a long time ago. Do you know when we mapped our genome, our DNA, when we figured out our DNA? Roughly 2003. How many years after the 1970s did we figure out our genome? Yeah, say 30-some years-ish. Please understand that the scientific study that gave us the 90+%, 98-ish% that is stated in zoos all around the country and in textbooks from the 1970s, we only knew part of our genome in the 1970s. We only understood part of it. We only understood part of the chimpanzee. Out of those parts that we did know, there were hand-picked sections that actually are 90-some% the same. Oh, yeah, that one looks good. We're 90-some% the same. Woo! I wish it was as sad as I'm making it up. I wish it was that sad. In 2012, at the proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences, literally, that is a group. Dr. J used to teach this all the time. He said that is the group that is the We Hate the Creationist group on the planet. That's who these people are. Proceeding of the National Academy of Sciences. In 2012, they stated in their proceedings, it is now clear that the genetic differences between humans and chimpanzees are far more extensive than previously thought. Their genomes are not 98 or 99% identical. That was in what date? 2012. All of the signage I just showed you has been since 2016. The one in the Oklahoma City Zoo was late 2020. We had known that sign is false for more than 8 years. And people argue all the time that that it's all about the science. I disagree. It is not about science. It is a spiritual battle for our soul. Worldview drives everything, not just science. Data is data. Data is data. Do you want to know how close we really are when you actually do look at everything? Like you look at the whole genome of us, and you take the whole genome of the chimpanzee, which has more chromosomes than we do. They only have the same number of chromosomes as us. As of a study 3 years old now, we are roughly 84% the same. Now, some of you are like, 84%? Ooh, that's a lot closer than I was hoping. But again, do they have hands? Do they have eyeballs? Do they have lungs, liver, kidneys, heart, bone structure? See, there's a lot like us. Again, does that mean we came from them, or does that just mean we have a designer that designed something similar to live in the same environment? Just because there's morphology, that's what that's called, our body structures are similar, does that mean we came from them? Absolutely not. Does not have to mean that at all. Just means we have a wonderful designer. He didn't have to make everything up new. I have so much more I want to share with you about DNA. It says here in verse 27 again, it said, so God created man in his own image. I don't know, some of the new translations have put mankind in there. I need you to know that word that gets translated man in the old NIV 84, that's what I carry because that's what I grew up with memorizing. We've started substituting man with mankind. I don't like that. Because here's why. The Hebrew word that's being translated man there is Adam. What does that sound like? Adam. Adam. He created Adam first. On day 6. Chapter 2. We don't have time to get into tonight. Chapter 2. It's a magnification of day 6 from Adam's point of view. It clearly states right here, he made them what? Male and female. He made them male and female. He didn't leave it up to them to figure out which one they were either. Focus. Who did they have to rely on to know who they were? The one who created them. The one who created them. Who better to know how you're designed? He creates the man, and then he creates woman from man. If we had time in chapter 2, we find out that he actually shows man first on day 6. Everything he's made has him named him. Has Adam name everything. All the creatures he just made, he's like, here, check out all these guys. And he says, in the midst of that, he says to him, hey, wait a minute. You're not supposed to be alone, Adam. Name all these animals. Do you know what he's going to notice as he's naming the animals? You know what Adam's going to notice? Everything has a male and a female. Everything has a mate. Right before he has him name him. Check chapter 2 tonight before you go to bed. Read chapter 2. Because look, he says, Adam, you're not supposed to be alone. Name the animals. Now listen, if we were going to have a common ancestor with a primate, and God was the one that was going to design it that way, wouldn't that be the first moment that he goes, pick one of the female primates. I'd go for less hairy. And voila, we have a common ancestor with the primates, and everything's off and running in an evolutionary understanding. Is that what he did? After Adam has named everything, he then says there's no suitable helper for you. That means there's nothing in all of the animal kingdom like us. I don't care if they got hands with fingers and thumbs. They're not us. They're not created in his image. It's wonderful. Listen, chimpanzees are amazing. They are absolutely amazing. Pound per pound, their size, they're some of the most extremely strong things on the planet. For just a little... The animal kingdom has wonderfully designed things. They're designed to do whatever he designed them to do. But they're not us. Like, I don't know how else to stress that. We are not animals. Do we share traits with animals? Absolutely. Do we have hair? Do they have hair? Yes. Are we warm-blooded? Are they warm-blooded? Yes. All those things. But that does not mean that we're an animal. The Bible clearly states with us, he finished the animal kingdom, then he made us. And then, in that sixth day, he made woman for man. He made Eve for Adam. He didn't make 5 Eves and go, hey, Adam, you figure out, it's up to you to figure out exactly which one you want to marry. It's just up to you, Adam. Guess who Adam had to rely on to find a mate for life? God. He actually created Eve. Your grandma Eve was made for Grandpa Adam. Have you ever read that like that? I need you to read the first chapter and the second chapter differently. That is your grandparents, guys. That's your grandparents you're reading about. That's Grandma and Grandpa. We never think about it like that, do we? We picture them, they're the first man and the first woman, right? That's Grandpa and Grandma. We read about our other grandparents when we get to the great flood. Noah and his wife, that's your grandpa and grandma too. I can guarantee you we're all here because of those two couples. Guarantee it. Absolute truth. He made the man and the woman with all the genetic ability to have all varieties of us that there is on the planet. All color combinations, skin colors, hair colors, eye colors, all the things that make all of us different from each other looking. They had all that genetic ability in them. There is study after study, this color thing that we battle all the time, this color of skin thing, that if you have, there's these things called alleles. So I'm going to get a little technical, focus, stay with me. There's these allele things in our genes. If you have 3 white alleles and 3 black alleles, you have all the potential to have every shade there is on the planet. That's all you have to have. Take a wild guess what I believe Adam and Eve had. 3 white and 3 black. They were a medium brown, most likely, because that is dominant. A dominant skin color on our planet is medium brown, not pale-ish brown like I am. I'm a minority. From a medium brown, you can have kids of all shades. And we battle over this thing that we look at, and we see this difference with each other. And underneath, the Lord just sees we're all the same, made in his image. We've battled over it in the church. Talk about get me hot quick. Get me upset quick. We start talking about some curse of Ham, curse of Cain, why we have darker skin. That is utter ridiculousness. Has zero bearing anywhere scripturally and or genetically. Are you hearing me? Taught in the church. Whew. That's a whole nother night. I got to stop there. This image thing. The thing that the animal kingdom doesn't have. This is part of his masterpiece. His masterpiece gets to worship him. Doesn't have to. We get to. Like, we have the ability to know our Creator and go, you know what? You made me like, thank you, Lord. Listen, these animals, they're fabulous. I love this creation, but woo! You died for me. As special as the chimpanzee is, he didn't die for the chimpanzee. Chimpanzee does not know sin. It doesn't know sin. That's something we understand. We love. Why? Because God is love. John tells us that. God is love. Our ability to love, that is an image thing that we have. Now, we know right and wrong. Like, we understand what right is and what wrong is. In an evolutionary worldview, right and wrong makes zero sense to me. Because if I think something's right, like I can just take you out, and I think I'm going to be better for it, then I should take you out and everybody should be okay with it. But we're not okay with it. Why? Because we know it's wrong to take another life. Who said that? He did. He did. Because when we take a life of a fellow man, we're taking an image bearer away. By our power, not his. There's a reason for these things. There's a standard. The only one that can set the standard is the one who made it. Are you following with me? And you know what? We don't have to be taught how to do wrong. It is becoming very, very evident to me. I have a 10-month-old granddaughter. When you say no to her, she's 10 months old. She's barely standing up. No, Athrun. And she looks at you and smiles. And then touches it. Her mama didn't teach her that. Her daddy didn't teach her that. I didn't. It's like, holy moly, okay. We wonder why. We wonder why. Here in the next few months, when she becomes verbal, she's going to begin asking one question. Why? We all do it. By the time we get to a certain age, we start going, well, why? 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 I really don't think the chimpanzee cares. I don't think he cares that the sky's blue. I really don't think he cares. Can we ever prove it? I don't think so. But we wonder why. We wonder why. We want to do science. We're actually told to do science. See, in the next few verses, check this out. Next few verses on day 6, look with me, verses 28 and following. God blessed them and said to them, be fruitful and increase in number, fill the earth and subdue it. Subdue it. Do you know there's nothing, that text in English makes me think that there's something that I've got to subdue, I've got to control over, as if there's something in opposition to me. This is perfection, guys. Is there anything in opposition to him? Or the woman? There's nothing in opposition to him. This word subdue here, it actually, the word is kabosh. Say it with me. Kabosh. Oh, it's where we get put the kibosh on it. When you want to like stop something, you put that's where we get it. It's a Hebrew word. Did you know that? Okay, so it can also mean master it. Master it. Understand it. Study it. Because the next sentence says, rule over the fish of the sea, birds of the air. Is there anything that's in opposition that we're going to have to like rule over it because it's going to be weird or something? No. That word rule there is radah in the Hebrew. It means govern. So what he literally has just told Adam and Eve, the first man and the first woman, is study creation, study what I've made because I want you to take care of it. It's very hard to take care of something that you have no clue about. Very difficult. Scary even at times. Like he told us to do science. Observe it, test it, repeat it, falsify it, figure it out. Like he told us to do science. Right here in the garden. Did you know that part of our image is to serve others? You know, when you serve somebody, you know that feeling you get? Not because mom and dad told you to go do something for somebody. Just when like it hits you, I should go help that person. And you go do it and you're like, no, that doesn't feel so bad. In an evolutionary worldview, it would make no sense to serve somebody. If survival of the fittest is it, why would you ever serve somebody? You just got to get past them. You got to be stronger than them. Put them under you. No serving. Yet the creator of everything put a towel around his waist, got on his hands and his knees in front of his students, every one of them, and he washed their nasty, dirty, stinky feet. And what did he say to us? As he said to them, go and do likewise. Part of our image, we are to serve. Not what we see in the animal kingdom. We design stuff. Like, to me, the best example of that is a bucket of Legos with a kindergarten class. Like, all I got to do is go. No instructions needed. Plane. Car. House. Flower. Like, we design stuff. I mean, like, we figured out, we looked at the flying bird that the Lord designed and went, we can do that. Let's put a tube and some wings on this bad boy, and whoo! Off we go. Yeah, we didn't come up with that. We understood something he created, and then we went, okay, we can do that too. Ish. Not near as well. Not near as well. That hummingbird has got the helicopter whipped. As close as the helicopter is supposed to be like a hummingbird, nah, nope, hummingbirds are better. Guys, we design stuff, right? Right? We design stuff. Like we have a computer in our pocket. We have a computer in our pocket. In our pocket. The sad part is we trust it more than our own brain at times. Design. Part of our image. So the history we've been talking about here, first week of history, how far back in history, according to the Bible, are we talking about tonight? In years. What have I been stating? What's the date I've been stating? 6,000 years. 6,000 years. From this first week to roughly tonight. 6,000 years. The evolutionary worldview says the Earth is 4.54 or 4.58. I haven't double checked it yet, but 4.5 something billion years old. Humankind on the planet, we're supposed to be here, according to an evolutionary worldview, roughly, depends on who you talk to. If you talk to the guys that find the heads, like this representation of Lucy. Who's heard of Lucy? Lucy? Remember that one? This is Lucy's head. The dark parts are all the parts we actually have of Lucy. So do we have a whole head? First thing I need you to understand. We do not have a whole head. The head of Lucy that we do have, the pieces and parts, what's it really look like? Does it look like your skull? Does it even look like a young skull? Like it is even smaller than yours, so it'd be somebody even younger than you, okay? But it doesn't. It doesn't even look like a human. It actually, if you've ever seen a chimpanzee skull, it's really close. I mean, like really close, okay? They're supposed to have walked the earth somewhere around, if memory serves me, I want to say 1 million to 2 million years ago, okay? It's when this little hominid supposed to have walked. Really mostly chimp-like. So all the bones are mostly chimp-like. Guess what this mostly should be? A chimp. Okay, so then we got this one here. This one here, you guys never hear about anymore, which is really probably a good thing. This is Piltdown. Who's heard of Piltdown, man? Yeah. See, did you notice how old the folks were that raised their hands there? See, this was an early one that was shared. Actually, in 1925, during a Scopes trial, this is one of the skulls that was promoted as we should be teaching evolution in the school, the Scopes trial. And this was one of the evidences for it. The Piltdown man, found over in Europe, found in England, right? Do we have the whole skull? By the way, it's the dark parts again. Do we have the whole thing? No, we actually have parts of a human skull and the jaw of an orangutan. This was a fake, a straight up fake evidence in the Scopes trial. Reason you never hear about it? Because in 1953 it came out, it's a fake. The guys dug up some poor dude's head, these parts, nasal bridge, got an orangutan, lower jaw, with some of his teeth, but then they embedded, what kind of teeth do those look like? Yeah, those are like your molars back there. They put those in there, and then they put, see these big bad boys right here? Yeah, those are orangutan gorilla teeth that they embedded in the poor guy's head and said, well, this is our missing link. They photoshopped it without photoshopping it. They just made it fake. This was an evidence to prove that we should teach evolution in our schools. This is one of the three. Then there was Java Man. This one came out. I don't even remember my dates on him, but this is what we had of him, and we had part of a leg bone. That's all we had of him. Found in an island over in Java, over in the South Pacific, Indonesia area. If memory serves me right. Most likely some kind of an ape. Looked more ape-like than human. But yet they took these pieces and it hit the news back in the day. They drew pictures of what he would have looked like. And they have a picture. I have a picture of like the front page of like, I don't know what it was. I don't remember what news. I want to say the London Times or something. They have a picture of him hunched down, like working on eating something, and his wife's sitting next to him. And there's stuff in the background, all based on that head. Ladies, would you like to be drawn because of someday what your husband looks like? You think they're going to get you close? Like that's just crazy. Okay, so roughly speaking, the anthropological, that means the bone people that are digging this stuff up over there in Africa, that suggests we started somewhere in the continent of Africa. It's the out of Africa hypothesis. They say we started somewhere around 100 to 200,000 years ago. That's where we separated on our branch from the primates. So it's not that the primates turned into us, it's that we had a common ancestor and the primates kept going this way with the chimps and the apes and then we're over here on this branch. Everybody got that? Adults, have you got that? Focus. Adults, if you're saying to friends that are evolutionary, if we came from monkeys, how come we still have monkeys? If you're still saying that, please stop. I can't be more serious. That's not what they believe. They're immediately not going to listen to anything else you have to say. It's not this. The evolutionary worldview is not this. The monkeys turned into us. It's that we have a common ancestor down here with the monkeys and the apes. Does that understand the difference? That's a huge difference. Really is. Even if you don't agree with it. In 1988, Newsweek magazine, we began looking at those genetic things, our DNA. And so the anthropological, the guys finding the heads are saying, we've been here as humans for about 100 to 200,000 years ago. This other one over here, this is Neanderthal, by the way, and that's Neanderthal. Everybody agrees, evolutionary or otherwise, these are people, biblically, post-Babel people. Everybody got that? Babel? Tower of Babel? History? Okay. But then genetics starts getting better. So the story being told that we were coming out of Africa somewhere, like 100 to 200,000 years ago, or maybe even close to 1 million years ago, coming out of and away from Lucy's kind, then the genetics starts being studied. Guys, listen. The genetics are not matching up with the bones. You will never, like I still haven't, ever found a geneticist and an anthropologist, bone guy, coming together and doing a paper together. You know why? Because the stories are different. Case in point. 1988, the search for Adam and Eve. When you first see that as a Bible person, you're like, what? Yeah, sweet, we're looking for Adam and Eve. Scientists explore a controversial theory about man's origins. Here's what was controversial about it. Check this out. Oh, that's horrible. Wow. Okay, I'm going to read that, and you're going to have to trust me. Why is that red? Wow, that's horrible. Trained in molecular biology, they looked at an international assortment of genes, so they looked at a lot of people's genes. Everybody with me? Not Levi's, like your DNA genes. Okay. And picked up on a trail of DNA that led them to a single individual woman from whom we are all descended. Our genetic code says we've all come from one woman. You know how they did that? There's something called mitochondrial DNA. Have you learned about this in science yet? Is that ringing a bell, mitochondrial? Do you remember what the mitochondrial is in the cell? It's the little energy factor in your cell, okay? Mitochondria, right? In there, there's special DNA just for it, okay? That DNA that you have in yours is from mama. You will not pass on your mamas to your sons or daughters. You hold your mamas, and guess what? You will pass it on to your sons and daughters someday. Why are you looking red? Okay. This is not an embarrassing thing. This is a cool thing. Ladies, you will pass it on, your mitochondrial DNA. We gentlemen, we don't pass it on. We get moms, and then it stops. What they figured out in 1988 is they figured out this mitochondrial DNA. They're like, hey, wait a minute. We can see this trail. We can look at the mutations in mitochondrial DNA, and it can be used maybe like a clock. Like we can look at this back. If we take all these mutations out from all these different people from around the world, all these different ladies' DNA from all over the world, we find out, wait a minute, that takes us back to one woman. See, in the evolutionary understanding coming out of Africa, we've never had the idea that it came from one woman. It had to have come from like a group somehow. No, the DNA says we came from one woman. Any ideas of what her name might be? Eve. It's good. You're onto something. Did you know they named her mitochondrial Eve? Really? For real, they did. They named her mitochondrial. Like they got her name right, at least. So in this study in 1988, they tried to come up with a clock. Okay, so how many generations when a mutation, because we may have a mutation. Mutation's a part of our DNA that messes up. It doesn't copy right from either mom and dad or whatever. Like something happens to us, we get a disease, and it actually genetically modifies our DNA. It'll damage it. But the Lord made us, He designed us so well. We have like copies of copies, so it can fix itself. But after so many generations, it locks in. Kind of becomes unfixable, so to speak. Everybody got that? Well, they said, well, okay, how many generations does it take for that mutation to be unfixable? They came up with somewhere around 600 generations, probably. It's kind of a guess, right? So they calculated, okay, we got this many mutations now in our genes. Every 600 generations. Let's go 100 to 200,000 years ago. Please understand, that's way shorter than the anthropologist folk are arguing we've been around. So speed forward in history 10 years. Focus, stay with me, I'm almost done. This is why you're here, for this little tidbit I'm about to share with you. Your mind's just about to go, focus. Here we go. In 1998, in the journal Science, this is not a Bible journal. These people don't care about the Bible or its history. Look what it says. Regardless of the cause, evolutionists are most concerned about the effect of a faster mutation rate. So instead of every 600 generations, from 1988 to 1998, our technology got better understanding that mitochondrial DNA. And they went, wait a minute, it looks like it's locking in way faster than 600 generations. It's looking like it's locking in at like 40 generations. Look what it says. For example, researchers have calculated that mitochondrial Eve, the woman whose mitochondrial DNA was ancestral to that in all living people, lived 100 to 200,000 years ago in Africa. Does it say in our DNA, made in Africa? And I have nothing against being made in Africa. I'm just saying it doesn't say that. That is a worldview. I really think it should say, made in the Garden of Eden. That we'd have no idea where that is now. Because it's under all the sediment from the ground. Okay, that may be too much to put in there. So they're thinking up till 1998, our ancestor Eve is how old? 100 to 200,000 years ago. Using the new clock, she would be what? Wait. Does that clock just happen to work with anything else on the planet, like clockwise? Like, you know what? If you just picked this up and started reading, in the first week of history, near the end of it, on the day 6, we were made male and female. Her name was Eve. And flip over to chapter 3. I want you to see the verse. Look at the verse. Sin has entered the world, and here in verse 20 of chapter 3 it says this: Adam named his wife Eve. She was not named Eve until after sin. Just another little tidbit. Because she would become the mother of who? The world or all the living. AKA, we've all come from Grandma and Grandpa Adam and Eve. And you know what genetics says? We've all come from one woman, and the clock even suggests, just a guess, based on a clock that's a guess, it may only be like 6,000 years ago. What? Just like this says. Again, these people don't trust the Word of God. You know how I know that? Because the data. So the data suggests that. The science part says that, but watch what the worldview does. Students, listen. Students, if you can figure this out in science class, this is your extra credit. You ready? If you can figure out what the data says versus what a scientist believes about the data, if you can figure out the difference there, you'll be just fine. You'll be just fine. Because the data will be data. How we interpret it is our belief system, our worldview. You ready for their worldview? The data says what? Roughly 6,000 years ago. But here's their worldview. No one thinks that's the case. Why? Well, because we came out of Africa 100 to 200,000 years ago. Like 6,000, that can't be right. That can't be right. It is if you trust this. Do you know what has been buried? What study's been buried? That one. Like we never hear about that study. You know what date continually gets used? 100 to 200,000 years. As if we never did a study. Nobody's ever done a study that suggests 6,000. In your textbook somewhere, it will say 100 to 200,000 years ago. Guarantee you. In your biology textbooks. Doesn't change. Even if that data says otherwise. Not about the science, church. Check out this fun little one. Done in 2018. Check this out. In a massive genetic study, the most massive study, they studied over 500,000 genomes of all kinds of creatures across the animal kingdom and put us in there too. In the journal Human Evolutions, here's what the researchers said. They discovered that virtually 90% of all animals on Earth appeared right around the same time. What? What? Like when you look at the genes of things, it's not that they evolved over time from each other. It's like they all showed up at the same time. You don't say. But wait, look at the next paragraph. More specifically, they found out that 9 out of 10 animal species on the planet came to being at the same time as humans. And what date are they still using? Guys, it's not about science. It's not about science. Like the data suggests that everything was possibly made all at the same time within a day of each other. Like within a day of each other. Like that's what it says. Again, these are not Bible people. These people don't care about the Word of God or its history. Woo! Look, you're looking? Look at the next paragraph. Verse 29. Then God said, I give every green plant for food on the face of the whole earth, and every tree that has fruit with seed in it. He emphasizes the fruit with seed in it again. They will be yours for food. Verse 30. And to all the beasts of the earth. To all the beasts of the earth. All the beasts of the earth, and all the birds of the air, and all the creatures that move along the ground, everything that has the breath of life in it, aka Kaye Nefesh creature. I give every green plant for food, and it was so. Every beast ate what? Every beast ate what when it was created? Plants. Every beast that was created ate plants. And us. We were vegetarian. Doesn't make me happy. I like my meat. I like it. I like a good pulled pork, good set of baby back ribs, good steak. One of my favorites, bacon cheeseburger. That's my comfort food. Bacon cheeseburger. Give me a juicy bacon cheeseburger with some pickles, a little ketchup, a little smoky mustard, a little red onion on there. Like I'm done, right? Why were we given plants to eat? So that no Kaye Nefesh creature would have to give its life. He gave us life to eat that isn't Kaye Nefesh life. No blood-containing life was given to us to eat, because if we did that, that means there would be death. But what's he about to say? Listen to what he's about to say after he finishes all those instructions. He says this: God saw all that he had made, and it was very good. When he finished all of creation, including us, he said it's more than perfect and complete. In essence, he's saying, now that my image is there, it's even better. That's how you can read that. But he gave us plants to eat, because we weren't supposed to eat meat. Because if we eat meat, that means that thing had to die, which means there was death, right? Before sin. There is no evidence in Scripture of death of blood-containing creatures before sin. Even today, there are animals that have sharp teeth. I have pictures that I took 125 pictures of just to get that picture. She has the same teeth. Mei Xiong has the same teeth as all of her other bear cousins have that eat meat and plants. She doesn't eat meat. She eats plants. So just because something has sharp teeth does not mean it always has to eat meat all the time. Because there are plants on the earth that I believe still show to be the right size plant for a T-Rex. That is last year at the Kansas State Fair. That is their award-winning pumpkin of 1,138 pounds. I get this picture every year at the Kansas State Fair. I've been doing it since I met my lovely wife. Honey, wave. You were missing earlier. Hey. Her family's been going to the State Fair for how long? How many years? Your life? Pretty much her life. When I met her, I started doing it too. This is my favorite picture every year. I can't wait to see how big the pumpkin is every year. There's a couple guys in Kansas that grow these monstrous pumpkins. There's like 2 guys that battle every year who has the biggest. All I see when I see those, the watermelons and the pumpkins behind this little section, I think of that mouth. Did God equip him good enough to eat that? Absolutely. Absolutely. Those teeth are like made for that pumpkin right there. There's been bigger ones I've found. This was at Dolly World a few years ago. I'm on vacation with my family trying to relax. That one says it is 1,912 pounds. I was gingerly scooting that lady right there behind me. I'm like, excuse me, I gotta get in. Excuse me, I gotta be in this picture. Take it quick, honey. Okay. So, very good, perfect, complete, no death. No death. Everybody got that? No death. Till sin enters the world. The Lord rests on the 7th day. He doesn't take a nap. He doesn't want to go to bed like we want to now because we've worked hard all day. He doesn't get tired. That's shared in Scripture. When we think of him getting tired here and like he needs to go take a nap, that's what he means. That's us trying to put ourselves on him, and that's not fair. He doesn't get tired. It wasn't like, oh, 6 days. I'm done. Okay, I got to go sleep. That's not, he was done. He rested to give us an example of what we are to do. Spend a day remembering who he is. Our Creator. What great things he did. Now, he did it in 6 days. Again, he could have done it in 6 seconds. He did it in 6 days and gave us a day of rest to give us our week we have. Like if those days were longer than a physical day, like you and I understand a day, do you understand what confusion that would have caused for his people called by his name? When Abraham and Moses and all those guys, as they're trying to follow the law, if those days were not understood as days and they were some epic period of time, they would have been sitting there going, okay, no, wait a minute. You told us to rest on the Sabbath, but is that like 1,000 years? So we're supposed to work 6,000 years, and then we're going to rest 1,000. Wait, no, okay, so wait, or is it 1,000,000 years a day, and then we're going to rest like... The only way that we would ever understand it, because that's the way he wrote it. He did it in 6 days and rested a day. He gave us a week. That's it. Whether we like it and agree with it or not, that's what he did. That's what he did. Trust this book. Because the history in it's right. We can keep going from Adam, the top line up there, and we can go down through all the patriarchs listed for us. We can see how much they overlap each other. Noah's father Lamech knew his great-great-great-great-great-great-grandfather Adam. Noah's father most likely sat on the lap of his great-great-great-great-great-great-grandfather Adam. He got to ask his grandfather, tell me about the first time you saw Grandma. Tell me what that was like. I've heard stories, Grandpa, but tell me. Grandpa, what were you and Grandma thinking? Like, what were you thinking? You know what I believe Grandpa Adam said to all of his generations that he had an opportunity to speak to and to teach? The Lord is gracious. He's merciful. He could have killed your grandma and I right there. He could have just wiped us off the planet, started all over. It was just us. But he showed your grandma and I grace. Like we didn't deserve grace, but he showed it to us. Like we saw him kill this animal, shed the blood of this animal. That animal didn't do anything. We're the ones that messed up. He took that animal, and he clothed us. He covered our shame, and he covered our sin and all the crud. Because he's gracious. Because he's perfect and I'm not. Do you know your Creator tonight? You're made in his image. And he calls us his masterpiece in Ephesians. His masterpiece. Lord, tonight in this place, Lord, as we finish the first week of history, Lord, I am in awe of you. Lord, I'm not worthy. I'm not good. Lord, you are. Lord, to save us. Lord, to show us grace. To forgive us. Lord, my only response is to be in awe of you. Worship you. Love you. Lord, allow everyone in this room to know who you are. Lord, if they don't know you, if they don't know what you've done for them, the blood you've shed for them, Lord, spur them. Continue knocking on their heart. Lord, I thank you for who you are. My Creator and my Savior. It's in your name that I pray. Amen.
All right. Man, if you're anything like me, your mind this week has already been blown, right? It's already gone past the limit of what you can take in. But hey, if you want, and I encourage you all to, man, come tomorrow night as well. And if your mind's not already blown, I know it will be tomorrow. This ministry, Creation Truth Foundation, I can already tell from conversations I've had with various ones of you guys in the audience that it's been a blessing to our church family. So with that being said, what we're going to do at this time, if I can get a couple guys to come up here, we're going to take up a love offering for the Creation Truth Foundation ministry, just to support what they do here and also to other churches and organizations as they share God's truth there as well. I want to remind you too, as the Lord leads you to give to this organization tonight, I want to remind you too that you'll be getting a contribution statement from them if you give. So I'm going to pray, and then we'll get started. Dear Lord, thank you for this day, for allowing us to just have this opportunity this week to learn more about you, God. I pray as we take up this offering to just support the Creation Truth Foundation ministry, God, that we can just share with this organization how much it means to us that they're here this week. And God, also just to just be encouraged tomorrow night to bring friends at 6 o'clock to learn more and more about you, God, and make the most of this opportunity. I pray these things in your name. Amen.